Greetings, sentient beings. This broadcast is not intended for children. There will be strong language and adult themes. So how's everybody doing today?
Today is is it National Bird Day or is it Feed a Bird Day?
I think this one's just Feed the Bird Day. I don't think it's gotten any official recognition.
So when I was a kid, I would hang out with my grandparents. They lived by the junior high because they were like, happy people. They were always gardening. They're always doing things. My grandmother obsessively fed the birds in the neighborhood to the point where her house looked like San Juan Capistrano. Mm-hmm. She always had birds, always kind of just exotic birds. It was I always thought it was awesome. You could tell where her house was if you walked by because there were so many birds, The poop was unbearable.
My mother is big on feeding the birds, and we joke that that's just her TV, that, she just keeps the bird feeders out so she can watch how many different kinds of birds show up each day.
Absolutely. I even do that in my own home where I feed the birds. A long time ago when my son was in his high chair, that's how long ago it was, where I had my my sliding glass door, my sliders open to the backyard, and there's a baby bird just kind of sitting there hopping along because I have a fountain, and a hawk, a full winged hawk came and ate that thing. And I'm like, hey, I ran up. I'm like, hey, the hawk grabbed the bird and just flew off. It was like, if you're not going to let me eat in peace, I'm going to take my food and leave. Birds are amazing that way.
Yeah, the killer penguins don't generally come this far north.
Yeah, they're too busy training and guarding the ice wall,
Yeah, they can't be away from their duties for that long.
Even in my neighborhood, we have crows. And so people they say, oh, a crow is a bad sign. You can't think a crow is a bad sign when their nest is in your neighborhood. So it's the weirdest thing.
Is there a neighborhood that there aren't crow's nests? They're everywhere.
It's funny you would say that because in the city, they really don't they live in the suburbs. They really don't live in the city.
Mm.
So because I live in the suburbs, it's one of those funny things where we're like, there are crows everywhere.
Well, I don't know. I suppose LA is probably a much denser city than the ones I've lived in. But Minneapolis or Syracuse, New York, almost more have the feeling of like they would be suburbs to bigger cities. They're just not that packed in.
Portland, Oregon felt like that for me. Portland, Oregon, coming from Los Angeles and then moving to Portland, it felt like a small town. And there's millions of people that live in Portland.
Well, my idea of a small town is much different, but yet, Minneapolis compared to Chicago, Minneapolis is just kind of sprawled out over a much larger area.
I've always Arizona is like that, and California too, where you basically need a car. You need a car to function here because things are very far away from each other. Mm. In our public transportation, it's okay, but if you have a night job or a third shift job, you're kind of on your own, depending on where you live.
Yeah, when I had first moved to Minnesota in the early 80s, Minneapolis, St. Paul had a good bus system at the time. Mm-hmm. And they just gradually eroded it year by year. So, yeah, by 2000, you couldn't really use it for much of anything except to get downtown.
That's what's LA is different because their buses are the lifeblood of what helps people get to their jobs. But I've noticed that in the outlying cities, even in the valley, the buses run less frequent. And I think it's because we don't have people who want those jobs anymore. Even they're like begging people to be train conductors. And all you have to do is they even said all you have to do is push buttons to run the new underground trains that we have.
Mm. No, I think it's largely been a political effort to destroy most of the transit systems.
I agree with you.
And sometimes I'm not sure if they just don't understand the concept of what they should be used for or what, but because when they go to cut them, the first thing they always wind up doing is cutting them through the lower income neighborhoods, and they still leave them to the wealthier suburbs.
Absolutely.
So you're cutting the transit to the people who are most likely to not be able to afford to have a car. And that doesn't really make sense if you're trying to increase ridership.
I agree with you 100%. And that's why I still will not understand why they're, I always say this thing about America that like our infrastructure is disappearing. When I was a kid, I learned to play the violin. And still to this day, I can pick up a violin and play like 4 or 5 songs.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned that in school. They gave me, an instrument that I would not have been able to afford at the time. And they taught me how to play. They taught me how to respect the instrument. They taught me how to take care of it. And they don't have arts in schools like that anymore.
Well, no, and, the bands are a good example because just properly maintaining the instruments is fairly expensive and not a lot of students get to use each instrument.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have a paper mache. I don't know what you would call it. I call it action figure. A paper mache doll that I made, yikes, 26 years ago, 27, 28 years ago in high school. And they don't have the arts anymore because the guy who used to run the arts program lives down the street from me. And I asked him, I said, "Are you still teaching?" And he said, "Yeah, he's teaching history." Because they don't have the money for arts anymore. It's just sad. Oh, I love you, Nerdy. We love you, Nerdy wrote it. It's sad to see the things that made us disappear.
Yeah.
And now sports is socioeconomic because it's, can you afford to play the sport?
Well, I was pretty annoyed because for decades they were cutting all the other programs, but they wouldn't touch sports.
Same here. It still amazes me how we'll have no arts programs, but they'll have a football stadium that rivals some NFL stadiums here in Southern California. I know Thomas the Tank Engine tunes goes well to any rap music. I'm gonna have to try that out. Times have changed, but I say that because I remember when the infrastructure was different. And I always say, when you're younger, you fight the establishment. And when you're older, you are the establishment. So I try to help out where I can. And I try to do things like have extracurricular activities for kids after school. Just, simple things. Like I have a bunch of hockey gear that the neighborhood kids play with my son. They go out there and just slap a puck around and have fun. But you no longer get that at school. When I was a kid, we had hockey sticks and pucks at my school.
We had floor hockey. We didn't have an ice rink.
Oh, we didn't either. We'd use a ball on grass or use like an old school roller puck on the blacktop.
Oh, high-tech ones with rollers.
It's really funny you would say that. I went to about 2 years ago, I started playing hockey again. I was like, while I'm still able-bodied, I'm going to start playing hockey. And I walked in the store and I was like, I need a puck with roller. The guy laughed at me and he was like, we haven't made those things in 25 years.
Our puck was a chunk of the blacktop.
So now they have is I have one over there, but now they're just these weird pivots. There's these weird round discs, and it slides across the blacktop, even on my street. It's the weirdest thing, and it rolls like a puck. It slides and everything, and it's a good old hockey puck. You know, the technology catches up on all the old guys, such as myself.
Yeah. My sister was actually on the women's hockey team when she went to the University of Minnesota.
That's a big deal. That's a big deal.
Yeah, for the number of students they had, there weren't very many that could be on the team. And yeah, of course, in Minnesota, hockey is a pretty big deal.
They show your guys' high school games on the NHL channel here.
Oh, yeah. The high school hockey tournament gets a bigger crowd than any of the professional teams do.
It's more exciting. I watched college football for a long time because I felt there was more passion there. There's a band playing, people care. I've kind of fallen out of love with the NFL because it's so mechanical. It's like so commercial driven. And I'm not saying the NCAA isn't the same way, but I love more down home, more of a down home feel, like high school hockey. There was something else. The stucco guy. There was something else I was going to bring up that I completely forgot. Hey, Ox, how you doing? But it just, I don't know. It just seems to me that the entire how's it going, Brain Bug? It's just weird that the entire infrastructure has disappeared and that the arts and extracurricular activities have kind of disappeared unless your neighborhood can afford to do so.
Yeah, well, and of course that gets back to the income discrepancies.
Absolutely. And even here, I suffer from survivor's guilt because I was like extremely broke and homeless and just down and out throughout my 20s, and I've made something of myself. So I have survivor's guilt sometimes because the school my son goes to, I know it's a better neighborhood. So there are certain programs that are still there. And I know over the hill, like less than 30 miles from here, the kids just go to school and go home. And there's no extracurricular activities. There's nothing. They're lucky to have a basketball court,
Yeah.
So I feel bad because we're not teaching our kids and then we're wondering why all these crazy things are happening. Or each generation will say, oh, the kids don't respect and blah, blah, blah. And it's because we didn't teach them. When like I'm on this thing where people talk trash about millennials and I always ask the question, who taught them? Who taught the millennials? They were watching us and then they became a certain way in spite of us, So I'm not one of those people that tries to blame generations.
Yeah. I don't get into the generation stuff too much. I can go off too many different ways.
Yeah. there is gaping holes, and I do see certain things that people don't do anymore. But my grandfather said the same thing 35 years ago when he was talking trash about my generation. When he was saying like, oh, you guys wear your pants around, or why are you wearing jewelry? Or, it was insane to him, but it was just a different generation.
Yeah, I've never felt I fit in with my generation, so.
People are shocked when they find out my age. So I totally get that. People are shocked when I tell them how old I am. Because I don't reflect my generation at all either. But I think with the information era, it gives us more room to be who we are. because we can see other people living and say, hey, I don't have to live in this prison, you know?
Yeah, if we feel we don't fit in, we can reach out and we can find other people.
That's honestly, and
You
that's
know,
why
and that's, yeah,
sorry.
just it's something that really, you know, at no other point have people really been able to do it on this kind of scale.
Exactly. And that's why I think there's a lot of like kickback because, you know, I am openly bi, okay? I've gotten a lot of flack from that. And the funny thing is, in real life, no one says anything to me about it. But online, people have talked a lot of trash to me about it. And so, because of that, it's really made me take a step back and been like, wow, people really are hate-filled and bigoted, you know, and given the space of the internet, they can feel safe to say something, you know.
Well, I came out as bi in the 80s, and I got a lot of flack for that. And what really pissed me off is I got as much flack from gay men as I did from straight people.
I understand.
But I got a lot of gay men telling me that there's no such thing as bi, you're just gay and don't have the guts to admit it.
Someone I respect still to this day, he does stage shows, this cowboy stage show. He's a caterer, and I've known him for a long time. And I made a comment, and he looked at me and said, "Oh yeah, I'm bi." And he looked at me, and he was like, "Oh, I was too. You'll get to where I am one day." And I was kind of offended when he said that. I was like, "No, this is what I am," you know. But yeah. He was trying to tell me that there's no such thing as a bi man.
Yeah, I got a lot of that too.
It's the stigma of, and you know, I'm not going to go off on it too much, but in our society, it's much more acceptable for people to think about two women being together than two men.
Yeah, well, and that was the thing. It's like guys couldn't be bi, but it was almost expected that women would be.
100%. You know, when I was in high school, like girls would make out and I wouldn't think anything of it, you know, but that's the society I grew up in. If I had saw two men do that, I would have been like, wow, I wouldn't have thought anything of it either, but somebody else would have reacted, you know. It's funny, just the double standards are real. Like even well, I won't go off on that too hard. Same here. I was even looking for younger people actually. But I've gotten more flack online than in real life. And I think it's a security level too. And that's one of the reasons I keep on repeating myself and saying that I'm bi, because other people need to hear it and know that it's okay and that it's not anything different. It's okay. You are who you are, you know. And I think with more acceptance, you could just be yourself and move on. My thing, even with my atheism, with everything, is moving on with my life.
Yeah.
Because I felt that religion held me back so much. And so I feel like, you know, just being myself, it frees me to not have to worry about certain things.
Well, definitely a lot of it comes from religion.
In my life, it was 100% religion. And realizing how much time I wasted by following those rules.
Well, religion's very big on the conformity. You know, they just want everybody to act the same.
I call it a prison with no guards. They put you in a box and tell you, don't ever come out of this box. And if you do, all these scary things are going to happen to you. When in real life, when you step outside of it, it's just nothing happens. I was legitimately told that if you have a homosexual relationship, the ground itself will... They told me this as a little kid, but it always stuck with me. Like, if you have a same-sex relationship, the ground itself is going to take you to hell. And they were telling, like, 7- and 8-year-old kids this back in the day, you know? I doubt they can teach that same doctrine nowadays in the Catholic Church.
Yeah, well, when I was a kid, they didn't talk about that. Nobody talked about sex. And that was basically how I wound up being bi, was that by the time anybody got around to telling me I was supposed to have chosen one or the other, it was too late.
I never had a moment of like, oh, wow, this is wrong, or this is like, and that for me was true acceptance. Because people, there's always that initial reluctance, or you have guilt or something. I was like, where have you been all my life? It was one of those strange things.
Like I say, by the time anybody really mentioned it to me, it's like I'd already had a girlfriend and a boyfriend, and it's like, okay, those were both good experiences, so why should anybody be upset about it?
And that goes back to one of my fundamental misunderstandings, I want to say. I still don't understand why other people care so much what people are doing in their bedroom when that person is not around.
Yeah, if you're doing it in the privacy of your own space and it's not affecting anyone else, what does it matter?
I will never understand why. Like, I am no one to tell someone what to do or what goes on in their bedroom. That's their business and none of mine. And I feel the exact same way in my room. It's just like, even with certain issues, when it comes to someone's bodily autonomy, I don't understand why a group of men think they have say over a woman's body, or vice versa. I don't get it anymore. It's all based on control.
Yeah.
Or like, certain states can pass abortion laws and things like that. It's like, I don't want to put people at risk. That's the thing. And when you start outlawing things, then an underground market happens and people will do it anyways.
Yeah. But the problem is that the people passing the laws know that they'll have ways to get around them, so they don't have to worry about it affecting their family.
Absolutely.
If they pass abortion laws, they can always just, put their mistress on a private plane and fly her off to another country for it.
Or California.
Yeah.
No, I agree. No, that's the one thing that bothers me. Like, in the southern states, one of my favorite factoids is no one watches more trans porn than people in the South. Than people in the southern states of America. No one watches more trans porn than people but those are the people who have the most fervent hatred against trans people.
Yep.
It's that internalized homophobia, and transphobia.
Yeah. And the religious zealots, they really do feed into that.
They do.
If you try to outlaw something, you just fetishize it so that people want to explore it.
Absolutely. And, gosh, I'm going to look up his name right now, but I think was it Ted Haggard? Oh, was it? Yes. So a long time ago, Ted Haggard, Richard Dawkins did an interview with Ted Haggard on his property. And he was saying, oh, it's a sin for man to be with man, blah, blah, blah. A couple of years later, he got caught smoking meth in a hotel room with his boyfriend. The more you repress yourself, the more it's going to come out in nefarious ways.
Oh, yeah, you hear stories like that all the time.
And one of the reasons I always bring up Ted Haggard is because he was George Bush's spiritual advisor. He had a mega church, and I got to look it up again because I don't want to misquote. He had a mega church. Hey, Godless Granny, how you doing? But Ted Haggard was the definition of a hypocrite because he is gay. And so it just, it always made me laugh. Oh, now he has a church in Colorado Springs. But it just makes me laugh how it's the most fervent of these people who are gay. And there's nothing wrong with that, but they suppress it and then, make laws against people. It's just all internalized homophobia.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and that kind of hypocrisy that they're condemning other people for the things that they're doing.
Absolutely. And still to this day, it just bugs me. But I'm from a situation where I'm aggressively out. I tell people, like, take it or leave it. This is what it is, you know? So I come from a different perspective because I'm not suppressed in that way. So I try not to judge, but it's kind of sometimes, you know, especially when people are making laws. Lindsey Graham, didn't Lindsey Graham come out as well?
I vaguely remember something about it.
And, you know, I'm not saying this to shame him at all in any way, shape, or form. Okay. But he's gone. Are the stucco people here yet? He's gone out of his way. Yes, absolutely.
Oh.
So he basically, I don't know if he's gay or not. I'm not even going to say anything about it. I don't want to falsely say things about somebody because I heard it on Twitter.
Hey, Mike.
Hi.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, not too bad. How are you guys?
Awesome.
Okay.
Awesome.
What's going on your side of the pond?
Oh, it's freezing cold here. Freezing.
We're in for a bad one in a couple of days. It's, you know, it's kind of decent now, but we're going to be below zero all weekend.
Yikes.
Oh, dear.
And that's below 0 Fahrenheit, which I think 0 Fahrenheit's like 18 below Celsius.
Oh, dear. Yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah, that's cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's Minnesota. We expect that. It's a bit later than usual. That's generally what we get in January, but
like right now, we're having blistering 65-degree weather here in Southern California with the sun out.
Sweet.
yeah, we wouldn't expect to hit the 60s until sometime in May.
Yikes. You know, when I lived in Portland, I didn't know what seasonal depression was until I lived in Portland. Because the sun, they would count how many days the sun actually came out instead of how many days it was cloudy.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, nothing. I know it's like overcast there most of the time.
Oh, it was the only place I've ever been where the sun legitimately does not shine. Like, it's the strangest thing. I completely agree with Ox. That's why I constantly post that on Twitter. Hatred is just a waste of time. It's something I work on in my own life of not just pathologically hating people.
Yeah, no king. This was actually weird, and another thing I didn't learn until I was on the internet. But apparently Minnesota is actually colder than most parts of Canada.
Wow. So you really do live in the coldest place in America.
Yeah, well, you know, Canada, if you're along either coast, it's warmer. So it really is just kind of this area right in the center of the continent.
I've been to Vancouver. I've been to Victoria Island. It's just like Seattle. So I agree with you. Like on the coast, it's warmer.
Granny, why don't you come on in here? Yeah, I'm going to be in a chat on Granny's channel later tonight.
Awesome. So am I. I'll be there as well.
Yeah, that's going to be starting about 6 hours from now.
Never mind. There's a couple things I have to look up.
Hey, Jeff.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, yeah. Hey, guys.
How's it going?
Yeah, not too bad.
Hi, Jeff.
Oh, yeah.
We're just
Yeah,
ranting about life.
Oh,
we
can't settle.
I've got one bit of one, perhaps.
No, that's okay, Jeff. Go ahead.
I've got one bit of decent news today. Friday afternoon, I'll get my first shot of the vaccine. So.
Oh, awesome!
Good.
Awesome.
But then I could have to wait weeks or maybe a couple of months for the second one. So it's still,
A couple of months.
Yeah, it's really ridiculous how slow it seems to be going at the moment. So
It's almost just as bad here.
yeah.
But our governor yesterday announced stepping it up, so we'll see what happens.
I just sort of went outside about half an hour or so ago. 'Cause, Black Sofa probably there, so they had a round of applause for that Captain Tom Moore. So
I didn't even know that was happening.
yeah, there's a few people come out. Apparently, so Boris tried to get people to do, but I'm not really going to do much stuff on Boris. Captain Tom Moore deserves some major respect, though. So.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. He really cared about your country, about his country.
Yeah.
And went out of his way to help
yes.
the NHS.
And it's bloody COVID that got him. That's
It's so sad.
100 euro. He raised like £30 million for like healthcare and that. So
that's so much money. We need more people like him. We definitely need more people like. That's the one thing I gripe about all the time is how people don't help each other enough.
That's true.
I have a couple jobs where it's outreach in the community and we help people, and it's not easy.
Oh, I just got a new subscriber.
Cool.
So, sorry, I just got a notification about it.
Mine have slowly crept up over the last sort of couple of months.
Good.
I mean, I think
awesome.
if I'd love to be able to hit 1,000 this year, but I think that might be being too ambitious. I'm like
you never know.
Now.
You never know. You might hit that we. Yeah. You might get that one thumbnail that hits the algorithm. Like Dave, when Dave was talking about the insurrection, how many people were watching that?
Yeah, he had like 180, 200 people live.
That's what I'm saying. When I saw the numbers, I was like, "What?" I had to go back and look twice. I was like, "Huh?" Because I was on with Purple when that happened, and I went back later, and I was like, "Holy cow!"
About 6 or 7 months ago, he only had 200 or 300 subscribers, and the older he slowly crept up to the questions or whatever, and then the ball bursting incident happens, and it seems to go a bit viral.
That's what I'm saying. So you never know. There's that one girl on Twitter who said, "Why do we need math?" Or she said something, and look how many followers she has now.
Yeah.
And she said something dumb.
That's what you need to do, I think, is go on and say something dumb and not say something intelligent. You seem to.
I was thinking about posting.
Hey, Granny.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Hello.
Good.
You still up for joining me this tomorrow and Granny?
Yeah. I had to look up what time that would be here. Because I have a hearing
Yeah,
that
I'm
day
gonna
at
do it
2
probably
o'clock in the
about.
afternoon.
Okay, I will. So it'd be probably about between
It's about 10
10
o'clock in
and
the morning, my time, so I got plenty of
yeah.
time.
So it's about between 10 and 11 your time. I think I'll be starting. So I'm really sort of trying to schedule it for so I can get ringing. So yeah, I've been doing these things going through to say Twitter feeds of some dumb people. We're doing a transform wife tomorrow, so
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to do it.
Interesting.
I've done a lot of videos on her. I've done at least
Yeah.
5.
Some of those
I've just
toxic
had a-
people I try to stay away from because they get my
I'm
blood
not being
pressure.
funny. I looked just at her tweets in the last week. I think you could get almost a 2-hour stream out of them. It's ridiculous.
I don't see her tweets. She blocked me long ago.
Do you know, Granny, that last video about the hate preacher that was saying the awful things about trans people, that really got me going. I was angry. I was in here like, wow, I'm really mad right now. I didn't know that.
Actually went and got advice from 2 people that have been doing this a lot longer than me because I was worried about my own video getting taken down for being too violent and too hateful. And so I said, how do I answer this without that's why I bleeped out what he said. But, the part that I bleeped out, he said, take him behind the school and stone him to death. That's what I bleeped out.
The thing that makes me angry is that I interact with people like this. I interact because, there's people that feel like this and they don't say anything, So he's saying this to incite. He's going to get someone killed one day. He's going to get someone hurt. He's going to get a child hurt. He's going to get a child hurt.
Well, that's another thing. If you watch his whole video, there are children in that room. And you hear how angry and how I don't even know what the word is. The emotional intensity that he goes into. I think I would never allow my child to hear this.
When I was growing up and I went to church, well, I was raised Catholic, so they just read the Bible every Sunday. They said a little sermon and read the Bible. It was never.
They do a little ritual, yeah.
Yeah, so it's just still to this day. It's strange to see hate preachers like that. It's the weirdest thing. I don't understand it.
Well, he's in the NIFB, which is the same group as Steve Anderson and the others.
Cupcake Church.
So,
yeah, I really consider him a Steve Anderson wannabe. I think that he says this because he wants to get notoriety for getting deplatformed. But on the other hand, he needs to be deplatformed.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We had this whole thing last was it last year or the year before, didn't we? With the that blooming awful, what was it? Make America Straight Again thing they were doing.
Yeah.
They were planning to do that again this year, but they didn't end up getting to do it because of COVID.
Yeah.
And so, excuse me. So last year they were going to do it in Orlando by the Pulse nightclub. Am I wrong?
They did that the first year they did it. Yeah.
Okay, so they did do that. Oh, they are.
I don't know if they actually managed to get it right outside Pulse or whatever, but they certainly held it in Orlando.
That video that I reported and did my reaction, it's still up there.
Oh,
Unbelievable.
How many times does something have to get reported before they take it down?
Depends how many subscribers they have.
I was just about to say it depends on who's saying it. Unfortunately, like if we got someone with a huge name to say it, it'd be brought down tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, no,
but it also got
depends on the channel you're reporting, because if it's a channel that's got a huge subscriber base, YouTube won't do anything because they're making ad money off of it, regardless of how toxic it is.
And then people like me click on it and give them more traffic.
Yeah.
The problem.
Yeah.
This is and the problem is you also got to walk a fine line as well with about suggesting reporting and stuff, because you call for mass flagging, you can, you could lose your own channel if you're not careful. So
on Twitter,
Yeah.
I've been
His channel's about the same size as mine.
oh wow. I've been censored at least 4 or 5 times on Twitter, where they flat out said I put a big giant brown dong on a Confederate flag, and they took it down, and I changed the head of the dong to be more cartoony, and they kept it up. So Twitter is so weird. Twitter I still have a flag. I fly it whenever I'm feeling froggy.
I have one very short video that I used I made it for a stream that I did, and I used it in that stream, and it's still on mine, but I don't have it public, and it's only a 5-minute video on racism, and YouTube age restricted that one to 18 plus for the violence in it, and I said, there's nothing in that wasn't on the national news. They're all clips that I took from national news.
Oh,
and they said, doesn't matter. It's age restricted, 18 and over only.
That happened a lot during coverage of the BLM protests. That when people were trying to show the police violence, YouTube kept taking their videos down for using the news clips.
And the funny thing is, like, when my son watches local news, they put it on our local news, that a minor is watching. So, wow. Those NIFB, they seem like groomers to me. Like Matt Powell seems like he was groomed.
Yeah.
Whenever I hear him speak, it's kind of brainwashy.
Oh,
there's a kid, was it Guzman or something?
Him as well.
Yeah, and what was he? I mean, what was he, 12 or something when he started making like his hate videos, and he's been absolutely groomed and indoctrinated. I mean, I'm guessing he's about 14, 15 now, but
I saw him on a video with Matt Powell. He looks older.
Yeah.
He looks grown,
But yeah, he was only about like 12 years old or something when he started.
It just shocks me that these people are allowed to continue their platform. But if I went and made a video and said like 9 words, they'd strike my channel, Yeah. If I went on their list and said, all the things you're not supposed to say.
I put mine. I mean, I put my entire channel as sort of not for children anyway. So,
and quite honestly, my son used to watch kids YouTube, and I would walk in the room and I'd hear MF this, MF that. They don't patrol kids YouTube that well. There's all kinds of stuff that creeps through on kiddie YouTube. It's been a couple of years, but
Yeah.
I mean, my kids watch a lot of YouTube, and I always make sure they have the parental lock on there, but even so, some videos slip through the net.
Absolutely.
And, you hear F this and F that, and I have to say to them, come on, choose another one, please. And,
when my son was much younger, I would be walking in the hallway and hear awful. I would go in his room because there's many times he'd grab my phone and watch whatever video he wanted to, but it was on kids' YouTube.
Yeah.
One thing that I want to do, but I haven't done yet because I haven't figured out what to say yet, is I want to make a video for children explaining atheism to Christian children. But I haven't figured out what to say that, parents would not be upset by, that, they're fine with, okay, we'll let our children learn what this is and that these people exist.
It comes down to equality. Are people willing to let their child hear another side?
Mm-hmm. Well, my real purpose in wanting to make that is if I die before my grandchildren grow up, I want that to be out there for them to find.
I know what you're saying, and it would be forever, and it would be. I know exactly what you're saying. You should do it. You should say we're just like you. We're not. I don't know. We're not I'm an atheist. Here I am, like I'm a real flesh and blood person.
Yeah. I never discuss religion with my grandchildren. I purposely, they talk to me about, oh, we learned this Bible verse. Oh, that's nice. We're going to church. Oh, that's nice. But I never say a word about atheism to my grandchildren.
I don't think I could be that good about it.
My son, if my son asks me a question, I'll answer it. But he notices that I haven't taken him to church.
If I didn't, then my daughter wouldn't let me talk to the grandkids.
Wow. So she's fervently religious?
Oh, yes. Very much so.
Nerdy's got a suggestion for you there. Do your parents have imaginary friends? Ever thought they were wrong? This video's for you.
I love it. I love it.
Gold. Those bars of gold, Nerdy.
Oh, gosh. I got to borrow that one.
Because it's essentially true. It's essentially
true.
Well,
I have to tone that way down, or
See, that's why you kind of stumped me, and that's why my initial thought was, well, we're not bad people. Because
and that was one of the things that nagged at me for years before I even started on the deconversion process. Is I have an aunt that is a truly altruistic person, and she's always been an atheist, and whenever I would hear the pastor say, atheists do this, atheists do that, my aunt doesn't. My aunt doesn't.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, for me, part of my experience growing up was, of course, they were preaching that everybody has to be a good Christian to, to have a good life and be moral and everything. But the vast majority of people I was living with were Jewish.
Same with me. The one time we during my catechism classes, we would have smaller classes. Then towards the end, they would bring all the kids together in this giant hall. And the guy who was indoctrinating us, he told us one time, if you're not Catholic, you're going to hell. And I raised my hand and I was like, what about Jews? They believe, basically, he said, okay, they're going to hell. 5 minutes later, I raised my hand. I said, what about Muslims? They're Abrahamic. They believe the same thing that we do, basically. I'll never forget, he was like, get out. He kicked me out of the hall and made me go sit in the hallway for asking questions.
Church of Christ is worse. Because Church of Christ says not only do you have to be a Christian, but you have to be a member of the Church of Christ.
Heaven would be so boring if that was real.
Yeah, anyone that's not members of their denomination is going to hell.
That reminds me of that old Dave Allen joke about like man going to heaven or whatever, and then they're being shown there's all these various different like areas there. So okay, the Muslims are over here, you got the Church of England over there, you got the Jewish heaven over there, and then there's this one section with this great big brick wall around it. He says, well, who's behind there? And God's like, shh, don't say anything. That's the Catholics. They think they're the only people here.
Yeah. Okay, I like that. I might have to steal that one. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh, that reminds me of a joke, and I'm going to tell it badly, but there's an old preacher in the pulpit, and he's preaching hellfire and brimstone and says, if you don't believe in God, you're going to hell, and there's going to be gnashing of teeth. And an old lady raises her hand and says, but Father, I don't have any teeth. And he says, teeth will be provided. They're making it up. I love that joke. I love that joke. I absolutely love that joke. But it's true. Like, no matter what you say, they're going to have a scare tactic ready for you.
I'll say now, if any of you are not familiar with an old Irish comedian called Dave Allen.
I love Dave Allen.
Yeah, because he did jokes about religion when it was still quite a taboo thing to make jokes about in the UK, and he was quite just the whole routine he says about when he was a young boy having to go to a Catholic school with the nuns or whatever, and like saying and his first day in there, and he's like 4 or 5 years old, and he's this nun saying, you come to this school, you've got to be a good little boy. Will you be a good little boy? And he says, behind her, there's this blooming fella nailed to a cross, bleeding. He says, I'll be good. I'll be good.
That was another thing. When I was a kid, they showed us a live passion. Some guy came out here and bled in front of a bunch of like 11 to 6-year-olds in the parking lot of my church. This was in the 80s. The laws were different back then, you know.
There are some places where they actually just genuinely are nailing people up in passion.
Oh,
plays.
I've made it all the way down to Guatemala. You'd be surprised what people are doing, because we like around here. Like I watch a lot of stuff in Africa, and I'm like, wow, because they get wild in Africa when it comes to Jesus. But they're doing the same thing in Mexico, Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras. They're doing the same thing over there. You know.
Yeah. You should check out The African Humanist. She's been putting out videos about some of the stuff that's going on in Africa today.
I was, my notifications aren't working because I thought I was subscribed to her.
Yeah. She is awesome. If anyone's not subscribed to her, go and sub to her. She is awesome. So I'm sure Granny will back me up on that as well. So
yeah, I'm not 100% sure you can hear me at the moment. I have a new computer and
we can hear you.
We can hear you.
I accidentally lost my audio for a bit.
Oh, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Okay.
Yeah.
I can't hear you through my speakers or through my headphones anymore, and I'm trying to figure out what I did that I lost that.
Oh, I do that all the time on my computer.
What
are the issues I'm having?
You were giving me that tip about allowing a program to take full control of the audio. And since I did that, that's actually helped a lot of the erratic behavior I had with my mic.
One of the issues I'm having is that the computer, I've only got I can only plug one device into this computer. I need to get something where I can plug more things in. So when I plugged in my microphone, I had to unplug my mouse.
I know exactly. You got to get an extender. You need a port. Oh wow.
Yeah, I have that problem with my laptop. It's only got 2 USB ports.
I don't know if you can see that, but I just got.
Yeah, that's what I need.
Yeah, I just got that. It's really helped out because I have scanners that I have to charge because a lot of things are ran off a USB now. They don't plug into the wall.
Yep.
And like I have certain scanners for my job, just certain things that I have, so I had to buy one of those. I'm laughing because you had to unplug your mouse for your mic.
Fortunately, I've got a touch screen, so that helps.
Oh, that's awesome. What kind of computer did you get, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm not the most tech savvy person. It is a Dell. What I looked for, I got some help from Randolph Richardson because I really don't know a whole lot about computers. And so he was advising me on what to get. And he said that the main problem I was running into is, when I was making videos, every time I got about 30 minutes into a video, my computer would start crashing. And it was crashing like every 5 minutes. And it was because my computer was not equipped to handle that big of a program. And Phil Mora had warned me also that my computer was inadequate for what I was doing with it. So this computer has an i7 processor. It's got a NVIDIA graphics card, and it's got 36K of RAM or of memory.
You're not jumping or you're not junk shopping at all.
Yeah, I know. I've got a really nice computer now. I just got to figure out how to use it.
I know the feeling.
But yeah, the first thing I noticed is when I made the thumbnail for my current video, I'm used to when I start blowing up pictures, they get real blurry. And so I've got to look for high resolution pictures if I don't want that to happen. Not anymore. No matter how much I blew up or shrunk a picture, the resolution stayed the same. And what normally takes me an hour to make a thumbnail, I made that thumbnail in 10 minutes. And I made a mistake. I forgot to put Godless Sewing on the first one. So, I remade it. Took me all of 2 minutes. And then Kitty told me, hey, I've got a new picture. No problem. I erased Kitty, put a new picture on for Kitty, reloaded it.
Now, even if my computer could handle it, I couldn't do that.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I still have to learn GIMP and be able to do some image editing.
If it makes you feel any better, I sheepishly called Jen and I'm like, I have another question. Because I get stumped all the time. I wasn't the most tech savvy. I've kind of had to learn by the seat of my pants.
Oh, I do want to resolve a question that keeps coming up. Since you're here, Will, have you ever charged us for appearing on this channel?
No.
Well, there you go, people. We have free will. That question's solved.
There you go. Absolutely. Answered. After all these years, it's finally answered. Free will. There you go. My answer is still the same about free will. How would I know? This is just the one day of the week the one chunk of time where I have nothing to do.
Well, I'm glad it works out for you to be here.
I'm going to, when the pandemic's over, I'm going to cry when my son goes back to school. And I have to stop having Zoom meetings for my job. And I actually have to go back in the office. I'm going to be in full tears sitting in the office.
It's going to be really, really weird when I actually properly go back to work,
Oh, yeah.
It's been almost a year since I've been in my actual office, where my actual workplace.
Me too.
When I have been working, I've been working out of home, so.
Yeah, it's been a year for me too. And the quarantine isn't going anywhere. We're still in quarantine here in LA.
I don't think ours is going away anytime soon.
Yeah, not for at least another 6 months. And depending on what happens with these variants,
Yeah, in the US, we're definitely going to be dealing with it for quite a while.
The one they're calling the South African variant is becoming a real problem over here now.
Right, that's the problem.
And there's some because there's some doubts about how.
There's new Kentish variant as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, just 2 weeks ago, they found a new variant in LA that they'd never seen before.
Yeah.
Yep.
The Brazilian one?
They called it the UK at first because they didn't know what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And so if it's unidentifiable, they call it the UK virus.
I actually did ask, so is the new one going to be called the England virus?
Here they respectfully call it the UK virus.
We should just call it the bloody virus.
That's awesome. That would be awesome.
Well, it's a bit like how what the Americans call World War II. We just call the unpleasantness.
I don't know. Why don't they just go with version numbers like they do for Windows? Just have it 19.3, 19.4, 19.5.
When I was going through all my dad's stuff, that's one thing I was disappointed I didn't find were those old AOL, like, here's 1,000 free minutes or here's 100 free minutes, I'm going to put that in a museum somewhere and show the kids how we used to do it in the Stone Age.
Yeah, I remember when those things used to show up in the mail every week.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I used to go in chat rooms. I'm old. So, those things were old.
I used to go in chat rooms all the time.
I used to go in AOL chat rooms a few years ago. And, it's, I thought Twitter was a cesspool, but if you go back think and remember some of them.
If you want to feel young, Robin asked me a question about a month ago. I don't remember what it was, but my response was, you realize that, I know it was, it was, didn't you learn, I didn't know how to use, to make slides on the computer. And she said, didn't you learn that in school? And I said, in school, we use mimeograph machines. Do you know how to use a mimeograph machine? Xerox wasn't invented yet.
Yeah.
Let alone, these computer programs.
Yeah, my son does that as well. They take technology for granted. And people look at me strange when I say that my generation was the last to not have a computer in the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
We had computer class, but we had Apple IIe's. That's how old I am. That's how old I am. We were doing DOS. We were running DOS.
When I was in high school, I kept signing up for a typing course, and my guidance counselor kept taking off my schedule because he said, boys don't need typing. That's a girls' course.
Oh,
if I ever find this man, I will strangle him with a computer cable.
Exactly.
When I was at primary school, we had 3 acorn electrons in the school.
Oh, you had the electron. You didn't have the micro.
No.
No, we had the BBC micro.
Only the good boys and girls were allowed to join computer club, and actually get to use the acorn electrons. And I was not a good boy.
No,
So,
I mean
Of course, with all the tablets and the smartphones, how long is it going to be before they stop making keyboards altogether?
Oh, that's kind of like when they completely phase out cash, I'm gonna cry because I'm insecure, so I like walking around with large wads of cash in my pocket.
I was gonna say, when we
being phased out.
I was gonna say, when we started school, it was the old BBC micro. By the time I left, I think it was the Archimedes we had. So the Acorn Archimedes.
Story I'd like to tell. Oh, I'm sorry, Godless. I thought you were finished.
No, that's fine. Go ahead.
When I was in college, the way that we signed up for classes was, there were computer punch cards, and there was one for each spot in each class, and they would have stations with the punch cards around in a square, and so all of the psychology classes would be in one section, and all the mass comm classes, and you physically run from station to station, picking up all the punch cards that you wanted for each class you wanted. And then you run to the checkout counter, and then they would check them out.
Yep. When I started high school, we had one computer for the entire school district.
Oh, wow.
That ran 3 high schools in the district. And well, I was fascinated with it, and I got to know the woman in the office who ran the computer, which at the time, most of the people there didn't know what was going on. It was still very mystical. But I got to bypassing my guidance counselor because I could get her to do schedule changes for me. And once it was in the computer, nobody would question it. The computer was like the supreme authority that even the administrators wouldn't question.
They still act like that here. I've heard people say, it's in the computer, there's nothing I can do.
Yep.
That statement actually makes me angry when I hear people say that.
Good old-fashioned computer says no.
It's still 10 years ago, I was always bitching about how reliant we are on technology, and I'm never going to get a smartphone. I own 2 smartphones, and I'm sitting in a room of computers. I was one of those dinosaurs who was like, oh, it's probably bad for you. It's not. I stopped hanging out with church people. It's not bad for you.
It's sort of one of those things that I resisted it for so long that it's like, now I am like so far behind everyone,
I did as well, to the point where a smartphone changed my life because I now had my banking, everything in my hand, and now I'll never go back.
I still haven't found much use for the smartphone. The stuff can wait till I get home and I've got my desktop computer. I don't need to have the internet in my pocket.
My biggest thing is like when I'm out in public or I'm in a meeting or something, I have to turn my phone off and turn it upside down, or turn all notifications off, because I have this constant urge to check it or go on Twitter in the middle of a meeting and then forget what everybody's talking about.
For me, mostly it's an annoyance. Even having a cell phone is for me to be convenient to other people. It's not that it's convenient for me.
Totally. Okay, the stucco guys are 13 minutes late, so I'm not going to cry about it too much. They said, I'm getting stucco people coming over to my house. And they said between 11 and 12, which means they'll be here at like 1 or 2. But people are hurting so bad for jobs right now. Like, I would be on time. If someone hired me,
Yeah.
I would.
Yeah, well, that was for me that I moved right before the lockdown, so I didn't have a chance to even establish any kind of customer base here. And yeah, nobody wants to have a stranger coming in their home, so I haven't gotten any of that sort of work.
You know, it's funny you would say that, because I made a lot of money off that, and it was all word of mouth. It was people from around my neighborhood who were like, oh, no, I know this guy. He has the equipment. He has licenses. And it kind of went from there. And I agree with you. I won't let someone in my house that I don't know.
Well, the niche I had found was that with the LGBT and the BDSM community and the pagans, that as long as people knew I was, open to all sorts of alternative lifestyles, they were a lot more comfortable with that, because they were always afraid of somebody coming in and seeing what books they have on the shelf or finding their sex toys or something.
Having had worked at a place where we go in after the fire department, every other person has a sex toy. Every other person on this planet has a sex toy in their drawer.
Oh, yeah.
I had a job where we would go behind the fire department and, because water does a lot of damage. Mm-hmm. We would take down the parts of the wall that were burned. We would, move furniture and stuff. And, you don't know how many you don't know how many sex toys melted during fires, and the people were like too embarrassed. They're just handing you their whole drawer and like, here, just chuck this in the trash.
Well, and once word got out that I was good with that kind of thing, I also got a lot of things of, could I build secret compartments for people to store the stuff?
Ooh.
So I got a lot of jobs of, putting panels in the walls or a little trap door in the floor that they could stash all the stuff away that they didn't want people to see when their family came to visit.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I mounted a sex swing, and I bragged about it on Facebook, and there were like 4 or 5 people that asked me to help them put their swing up in their house. And 3 of them I was shocked that asked me, but I did. I helped all the people. I helped everyone.
In Minneapolis, I had a couple actually commission me to help design and build the dungeon.
Oh, wow.
Ooh, nice.
Wow.
I have a 1-person swing. It's a wicker swing that I've had for years that we wanted in Robin's room. And I've yet to find someone that can hang it for me. I don't know who can hang it, and I can't do it.
It's all a matter of finding the beam. Because once you find the beam in the room, you could hang anything on it, And if not, you're asking for a disaster.
Right. And I don't know who knows how to do that.
Do you have like popcorn or stucco on the ceilings?
No, it's smooth.
Actually,
her room, I'm pretty sure there's popcorn in her room, though.
You could get a
his room. Sorry.
That's okay. Jen and I, Jen corrects me all day long. You could get a stud finder.
Yeah, I've used those, and I just am not confident.
It's I do it for a profession, and I'm still not confident.
Yeah, unfortunately, the stud finders aren't real reliable. I still have trouble with them.
I embarrassed myself one time hanging up my ex-girlfriend's television. I used my stud finder. I took one swing and I put a hole in the wall in her brand new apartment. And I mean, like, the place, you still had the new apartment smelled to it and everything. So they're not the most reliable.
Well, the thing to be worried about is that the stud finders will find anything that is denser behind the plaster.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes it's a stud, sometimes it's a water pipe.
Exactly. So true.
Or it could be an electrical line.
Yeah.
I shut the power off. I've electrocuted myself before. So I've learned to shut the power off before I do certain jobs.
Well, I'm thinking particularly of like a junction box.
Mm-hmm.
Since Robin's room is upstairs and abuts to the attic, you know, there's all kinds of electrical and stuff running around Robin's room.
I've had that same problem. It's not easy. It's, something like that. It's so funny because it can go from being a simple job where you put 5 screws and you put the mount on and it swivels, or you have to take half the roof off,
Mm-hmm.
half the ceiling to find where the stud is. It's funny that way. Here in LA County, a lot of the houses were, I call it the Brady Bunch principle. They were all built around the same time. And so a lot of them, we still have a lot of Brady Bunch houses around here, a lot. And they're all kind of A-frame with this weird side frame house connected. And so there's wood running everywhere. So in houses like that, it's easier to run stuff, all your nefarious things in the ceiling.
The house I lived in Fort Wayne, we lived in a very large neighborhood, and there were like 6 different builders that had built the homes in that neighborhood. And I really liked that because there was a lot of variety in the homes because there were, different builders' styles. And that was one thing I did not like coming here to Alabama, is every neighborhood we looked at, one builder would buy up the whole neighborhood and build all the homes in the neighborhood. And yeah, that the builder has like 6, 7 different plans, but they're all plans that are that basically look the same.
Absolutely. That's one thing I like just driving around LA because of the architecture.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in the 70s, you had a lot of them, like building new subdivisions, especially. And that to save money, they would just use one set of plans. And all the houses for like a mile would be identical except for the paint job.
They did that with the San Fernando Valley. I watch a lot of a channel called AMC, and they showed this commercial from the 50s. And it was like, come move to sunny Southern California, the San Fernando Valley. And it was just miles of the same house. Out, and it's laughable because that same valley is now surrounded by Walmarts and gas stations, but it just made me laugh because that neighborhood is still there and they all still look the same. Oh, Greg, it's because you didn't find the proper stud.
I think Greg's saying he is the stud.
Oh. Oh, Granny, you're making me miss the days I used to just get in the car and Isaiah, my son, and I would just drive around LA, and I tell him, look at this neighborhood or look at this historic thing, because it's so diverse here.
Mm-hmm.
We have stuff, from the early 1900s or like the Disney building in downtown LA. It's just this giant architectural it's just beautiful. It's just a really abstract building. I've been to Alabama. I've seen the houses there. But most of America is like that. It's like we have like 5 plans, and even nowadays every neighborhood has a Buffalo Wild Wings. They have a Walmart, it's like really cookie cutter.
And Chick-fil-A.
Oh, yeah.
In Alabama, you can't have a neighborhood without Chick-fil-A.
Wait, we have Chick-fil-A here too.
We don't have Chick-fil-A here in the UK. They haven't come to this side of the Atlantic yet.
Oh, they tried. No, they tried. They got they shut their only outlet down.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, they had built
Yeah.
one in 2018, and within 9 months it closed.
Yeah, it was in a shopping
right. I
centre.
didn't know that.
It was in a
Okay.
shopping centre in Reading.
I think the
Unfortunately,
reputation preceded them, and the people just wouldn't have
yes,
it.
yeah, pretty much. They were open for about a year or so, and pretty much every single day there was a protest about them from the time they opened to the day they closed.
Oh dear. Well, they brought that on. They brought that on themselves, didn't they? Really?
They really did.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Even here, even the ones here, they'll pray over you. They will walk behind the counter and like they're told to preach. They're told to spread their message, you know.
Yeah.
At least here. And you wouldn't get that in any other business at all. People specifically don't talk about religion around here for a reason.
Mm.
So
You can't, I don't think you're allowed to do that here in the UK.
Well, that's part of the problem, that there's a lot of things that you're actually not allowed to do in the US that they do anyway. Like not hiring anyone who isn't Christian.
Oh, right.
So if a woman wore a headscarf, would she be able to work there?
I doubt it. I doubt they'd ever hire her.
What if she was LDS and she wore a headscarf? Latter-day
Yeah.
Saints?
I think
Well-
they've got a fairly narrow view of Christian anyway.
Because I knew a lot of LDS that would almost dress the same as Muslim women. The difference is they would show their face. That was pretty much the only difference.
Well, Amish and Mennonite wear caps too.
Mm-hmm. So would they let an Amish person work at Chick-fil-A?
Well, a lot of Amish girls do work in factories and in public businesses because, and while they're still single, if unmarried adult Amish women work until they get married, and they usually work somewhere in the community.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
See, this is
you will often see the teenagers.
See, this is one other thing where I think they would have struggled in the UK, even if they tried to get going. They would never get away with the hiring policies they get away with in the United States, in the UK. There's no way.
It basically comes down to they can't ask on the application if someone is Christian, but they can ask kind of roundabout questions during the interview to weed people out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's because I mean, it would be. Yeah, sometimes I know it's difficult to make a case, but we have got this thing called the Equalities Act in the UK, which would kind of, if they violated that, they would be in a lot of trouble. So.
I always say we have laws like that here, but people have to be there to actually enact those laws.
Yeah.
Well,
and
what
that's
you
the
mean
problem.
is enforce, because the laws are there. But if nobody brings a suit, then nothing happens.
Absolutely. Just like in Chick-fil-A, what they do is they stack the company with people who are all Christian. And so they hire their people, and it kind of snowballs from there.
Well, and especially something like a fast food place that they're hiring people for minimum wage jobs, that nobody who would be denied a job there would have the means to bring a case to court.
And I'm not saying this as an indictment, but I work with special needs adults, and in my community, that is one of the only employers where they are not employing special needs adults. And let it speak for what it is.
Yeah.
But Chick-fil-A is they're one of the employers that just flat out doesn't do. And I can't say that we don't ask them, because we probably haven't asked them, but every other company has reached out.
Yeah. But people who are on the low end of the income scale, even if they could find a lawyer who'd be willing to do it for free, they can't afford to miss enough work to show up in court.
Oh, exactly. Oh, yeah.
That is why I love Pizza Hut. Even if you don't like their pizza, eat Pizza Hut, because they hired my cousin. My cousin is moderately mentally retarded. She cannot speak. But she can fold pizza boxes.
That's
and
awesome.
She has worked at Pizza Hut for the last 20 years folding pizza boxes.
See, that's what I'm saying. That, I appreciate stories like that, because that's part of my job, is helping people like that find find jobs. That's beautiful.
Yeah, Pizza Hut is one of the PepsiCo companies, along with KFC and Taco John's or Taco Bell. Yeah, and Long John Silver's.
Yeah.
You know, and in general, Pepsi has a pretty good record as far as disabled and GLBT.
You know, even the grocery stores around here, they have a program. You guys probably know them as Safeway. We call them Vons.
Yeah, we got Safeway in Wisconsin.
They hire people with disabilities. They hire people with disabilities. I absolutely love Safeway. Their prices are insane sometimes, but I absolutely love Safeway. Every time I go there, there's a person with a disability bagging groceries or putting carts or you know, in the bakery or something. So
it's been about 20 years since we've had Safeway in the UK. Oh, quite a big chain over here at one time.
They own the West Coast. They own the West Coast of America. They're like up and down. They're every other grocery store is a Safeway on the West Coast.
Well, because one of our we've got like sort of 3 or 4 big chains, I suppose. Tesco, Sainsbury's, Asda, and what's the one I'm missing? Co-op would be the other one. Morrison's is fairly big, but Co-op I'd say is probably bigger than. But like Walmart used to own Asda, and they pulled out of the UK altogether. They sold Asda off because they kind of came in there and found out Asda were already unionised. I don't think they really like that.
I worked for Walmart. They dangle a carrot in front of your face and they give you a lot of incentives. And they tell you, oh, you have dental insurance, health insurance, life insurance. Yeah. What they don't tell you,
got to go on welfare. Yeah,
they don't tell you have to work there for 40 years to be able to, you know, use any of these things.
Yeah, that's one of the things I've hated about Walmart is I've known a couple of people who worked there, and it's like, yeah, they're constantly promising them benefits and promotions that never materialize.
I was a kid, so when I griped, they gave me a bit of a promotion, but the guy above me flat out told me, he's like, this is about as high as you're ever going to go.
At least you had someone be honest with you about it.
This was a long time ago. This was like 20 years ago when this happened.
Thanks, Robert X. Sorry to interrupt. Go on.
Oh, no, it's okay. No, Robert, you're awesome.
Yeah, Robert's been shilling for us all here.
Awesome.
Robert's cool.
And that's what's going to happen now with COVID. All the smaller businesses are going to go under, and all the bigger businesses are just going to take them over. So we're going to have even more big business.
Yeah.
If you've ever seen the movie Demolition Man, it's coming more. That movie is coming more and more true.
Yeah.
Every restaurant will be Taco Bell. Yeah.
It's true. It's so sad, but some of those tropes in those movies are slowly becoming true.
Is that Wesley Snipes?
Absolutely.
That's correct, yeah.
I haven't seen that for years.
I watched that about 3 or 4 months ago. Actually, it was on Netflix, so I've decided I'm gonna watch that. I haven't watched it in a long time.
Those movies, they take me back to a different time.
Yeah, I like.
And of course, I like
a good action movie.
And of course, I like the song by the Police, "Demolition Man."
I love the Police, the band, the Police. Absolutely.
Well, I'm with defund the police. I don't know about banning them.
That is slowly going to happen. That is something, at least here, they've already, I don't know if they've not hired or they're putting on furlough almost like 10,000 sheriffs here or some insane number. And they were planning to do it before the election. They were waiting to see who won. They were either going to add or get rid of the police, ironically. And, you know, because Trump lost, the county has defunded itself, basically.
I'm going to say,
they know it's coming.
We're even...
What's that, Jeff?
think we lost you, Drift.
I was hoping that wasn't me.
Yeah, his audio kind of broke up, and now I don't hear him at all.
And I forgot what I was saying. Man, it is an absolute beautiful day today, though. I got the door open. It's 65 with the sun out. Everybody east of anywhere I live is like, screw that guy.
Yep.
I was going to do this outside, but the stucco guy is coming over, so I didn't want to. Oh, there he goes. So I didn't want to brag too much.
Whoop.
I might do Granny stream outside.
My internet's cutting in and out at the moment.
Okay. Yeah, lost your avatar there, but we can hear you now.
Yeah, my internet was being funny there for a moment. I forgot I was about to say something. I forgot what it was I was going to say, but oh yeah, I was going to say I think we've got. Yeah, I was going to say I think we've got a little bit more PC with our slogans nowadays, because I mean, it's defund the police now. Whatever happened to fuck the police?
That's my era, my generation. That was our thing. FTP, FTC. We used to
NWA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? It's so sad that when I hear about those rap groups, it makes me feel old, because I remember when they came out, and that was like 30 years ago.
No. But defund the police doesn't quite have the same ring to it.
It's a little bit less angry.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what? Honestly, I'm all for reform. The problem is, in a place like where I live, there's this real us versus them mentality versus the police, and we have to get rid of that, because we all live in this area together, So I always try to find middle ground, even though I think most of the cops are scumbags. But I try to find middle ground. I had an uncle who was a sheriff in this town for over 40 years, and he is one of the most self-entitled human beings I've ever met. So I understand why people don't like the police and the people who work for the police, because there is a certain arrogance that comes with it.
One of my problems is I had a close friend who was, he was a reserve police officer, and he was a reserve police officer because he had a career, and when he decided he really wanted to be a police officer, he was too old for the police academy. So he went in as a reserve officer, and he loved it. He just really enjoyed riding around with them and getting to play cops and robbers every other weekend. But there was one thing that he would say on a frequent basis that really bugged me. And I thought, you are going to get in some serious trouble for this. And it wasn't that he was racist, but it was a definite showing of his intent to abuse his authority. And that was, he said, anyone who runs from me is going to get a beating.
Yeah.
I said, so someone runs from you, they change their mind and they stop. You've already said that you intend to beat them, even though they're submitting to your authority and they're not resisting you. Yep, I'm going to beat them. That's a clear abuse of authority.
It happens all the time.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. It's the, you will respect my authority.
And you know what, God, you just described the scar of why most people my age don't like the cops in the first place, because if they're not beating somebody up, they'll walk into a crowd of young men and try to like bow up to them and act tough. Like, it's a lot of posturing and a lot of they've gone out of their way to make this us versus them, So I agree with you. I try to find peace, because I don't see a point in chaos. So I try to look, but they have a long road to come across. They have a long way, and that's why I made that comment about my uncle, because he thinks he's better than everybody else because he was a sheriff. And that just means he gets a pension, really. That's the only difference between him and other people, But when no one's there to check you, to check your authority, you start thinking that you are, you know, you are the god of that area. I had another brother who's a prison guard, and he has the same mentality. He retired, but he had the same mentality.
I've got a couple of friends who are screws, you know. So it's British lingo for prison guards, but
do they do they have attitudes? Do they think they're better than people?
So a lot of them do. I've got to say, couple of friends I got are okay. What I've heard, so I don't know what they're like in their job. That could be another story, but yeah, I've got a couple of friends who are guards at Winchester Prison. Well, I don't know. I don't know if any of you saw the old British sitcom Porridge at all, which was set in a prison.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of the because the kind of the main character in that is a lot of the way he got by was on little small victories over the over the prison officers and stuff, and it was quite funny. He's telling one of the prison officers about a friend of his who was a boxer. He says he got brain damaged or whatever, and he said in the end, he couldn't talk properly, whatever. You know, he couldn't do anything. So the screw asked him, "What's he doing now?" He says, "Oh, he joined the prison service and became a warder." So he said it would be. Yeah, it was good. It was quite a good series out in the 70s. Porridge. It was a British sitcom, but you had one cop you had one prison guard who was a bit more of a sort of liberal or whatever, who was more like, we're here to reform these people or whatever, and then you had the main guard who was like an ex-military guy. These people are here to be punished, they're scum, you know.
Oh, here in California, in real life, they call county warrior school, where people go in and like basically you come out because you're tough. Like, and there's people that say our county jails are worse than prison here in California. It's really sad because we've built more. And I don't know if it's because of the land. I don't know if it's because we have private prisons here, but we built so many prisons up and down California. It's not even funny. If you get on any major freeway and start heading out towards the Central Valley, there are prisons everywhere.
Watch Netflix documentary 13th. It explains a lot of it.
You know it.
Oh, you saw it?
No, it's one of those things where I haven't clicked on it yet because it's probably going to make me angry.
It probably will, because really the system was designed to be racist, and now it's become a profit-making system, and it's become a self-perpetuating problem because people have it so much in their minds that that we need to punish the bad guys and we need to make it hurt bad. That the United States has the biggest prison population in the world by far.
Yeah, it's an industry out there now. It
is.
Especially,
I mean, if you look at like probably the one that's got one of the most liberal sort of prison penal systems I can think of as possibly Norway. They've got like the lowest reoffender rate of certainly any country in Europe. So they're obviously doing something right there.
Somebody. It's funny. I've seen someone that I thought was a complete angel. I saw their rap sheet and it was like a book. It was like a book. And people get caught up in the system out here, and it's an endless cycle. And then you'll do one thing, and then something else will happen, and then you'll bump into somebody in a fight, and then you get arrested for that fight. And it's you could have a bad day. A cop walks up to you, and they say, "Oh, you have a record." Especially
how long as America spent like locking up people for like 15-20 years for like having like a small amount of pot on them or something,
Yep.
Still in certain states, if I
Yeah.
was to drive into Granny's state in my truck and get pulled over, they would arrest me because I smoke pot in my truck. It just depends on where you live. Because pot's legal here, but is pot legal in Alabama?
Nope.
I didn't
Not even with a prescription.
See, how did I know that? Didn't even have to look it up. Wow. So people still go to jail for weed in Alabama?
Oh yeah.
Like get years?
I don't know how much time they get, but yeah, it's definitely an issue. And as a Kaja, this is a major issue with parents trying to get their children back. If DHR takes your kids, they color code you, and you've got to be drug tested every so often. And if you're coming up positive for marijuana, you will never get your kids back.
Oh yeah, they actually had to change a lot of that here, but it's almost the same here. It's almost like the same here. Wow. It's so strange to me because it's not that I do, but you could smoke pot, sit down, and drive your car an hour and a half later. If I was to drink the equivalent of alcohol, I would not be okay an hour and a half later, So I don't know. I like most of our laws in this country, they need to be reviewed. But is a lot of that based because you live in the Bible Belt?
Yes, exactly. And that's one of the things I talk about in the video I did, Granny Goes to Jail, is how the religious beliefs shape our views on the penal system.
Absolutely.
Purple, I need to get going because I've got a few things to do for tonight's stream, and I need to get a little bit of work done today. I've kind of blown off most of the day, but thank you for having me on. It's been a pleasure.
It's good talking to you, Granny.
Yeah.
See you later, Granny. I'll see you tomorrow if not before. So.
Yep.
Nice to meet you.
All right. Man, the stucco guy still isn't here. This is real California time. People around here are all on surfer time. It kind of gets done when it gets done.
Yeah.
So what's going on?
To be honest with me, it's just at the moment it's just trying to avoid going stir crazy through lockdown at the moment. So
I lost it yesterday. I totally understand. I completely lost it yesterday. Lockdown. Yeah. I've been in lockdown for a year, and because of my asthma, I can't go out and do any of the normal things that I used to. So trust me, it's weighing on all of us.
I'll tell you what, when we're at. I mean, I think people, when they're out the other end of this, are going to go crazy into pubs and the bars and whatever,
I have a plan of parking my car on the beach, leaving everything except for my keys, and just, no shirt, shorts only, and just walking out on the beach and walking straight into the ocean. No towel, just going straight into the ocean.
Kind of like Reginald Pairing.
or just to return back to where I'm originally from, back to the sea. I live 30 minutes from the ocean, but it's so bad right now they don't want us to go out of our county line. So I'd have to basically drive an hour that way and then west in order to go to Santa Monica, which is still in LA County. But the beach by my house, I can't go to because of our weird quarantine.
Okay. Hey, I missed a bit there and put a call I needed to take, and now they put me on hold, so I'm going to have to be popping off again whenever they pick it up.
Oh, no worries. I'm going off about how I can't go near a beach. I can't go to the beach by my house because it's in a different county. But
Yeah, I saw Greg saying something about surfers there.
Yeah.
Oh, we had a. I mean, in the summer last year, and they sort of just supposedly just gently eased the lockdown, and then we had like tens of thousands of people like descend on near where I live, descend on Bournemouth Beach, and it's like you dumb fucks.
I saw that on the BBC.
Yeah,
I totally saw that. You know that
I'm just there like, what the fuck is wrong with you people? You know.
it happened in Australia as well, and here too. What happens is that people they think, oh, I'm the only one that wants to go to the beach today, and they show up and there's 10,000 people there. It's unreal here.
I mean, I was grocery shopping yesterday, and there's hardly anyone in masks.
Oh.
And I thought,
they should not be let.
Why?
I mean, this is the thing. They shouldn't even be letting them in.
I was about to say here.
I mean, in the street, in the supermarket, there were people were masked up, but in the high street, there was hardly anyone in masks.
Do you guys don't have a law where you have to wear a mask in all businesses?
It's pretty much is, I think. I just can't remember exactly what it states, but it is.
Because here we have a law where it plainly states that you have to wear a mask when you're entering anywhere. And what they've done in most stores is if it has two entrances, they've shut down one entrance, and you can only come in one way and leave another.
Yeah, same with some of the stores here. But what people do, they put their mask on to go into the store, and when they come out, it comes straight off.
Oh, I wait till I'm damn near in the car or halfway home.
I generally wait till I'm a good distance in the shop before I take it off, to be honest.
I forget. Depending on what mask I'm wearing, like the one I wore today when I took my son shopping this morning, like we got in the car and I almost forgot I was wearing it.
Well, I mean, I'm a bit more than most people. See, I wear latex gloves whenever I go into the shop as anything as well. So
I inconsistently
I still sanitize the shit out of them. So
I inconsistently do that. I should. When the numbers were really bad here, I wouldn't leave the house unless I had to, and I looked like a crazy person because I had gloves, mask, my hat on.
I'm kind of like that at the moment. I'm not going out unless I have to. So
I don't blame you. The problem is, regardless of what anyone thinks, the more people don't wear masks, the more they put us at risk.
Yeah.
And so these idiots trying to prove their point, like, yay, okay, yay. You don't want to be restrained. Good for you. You still have to wear a mask. We're still in a pandemic, and you can still be affected.
I just don't get why people think it's one of their bloody rights not to wear a mask. It's
kind of like people used to. It's just the same old adage of people think it won't happen to me.
Yeah.
So we're fairly arrogant as a species of thinking like, oh, it's happening to them, but it won't happen to me, even though we're made of the same stuff.
Yes, exactly.
It's the strangest thing to me. I was wondering about this yesterday.
It's like when that was in America when all those students last year went out on blooming spring break because it was like there's only old people that get it, and
they became super spreaders.
Yeah, and then suddenly found out. Oh, and some of them found out. Suddenly our age group, we can get killed from this shit as well.
Yeah.
It's bad. And it's really funny you would say that because there's one event in Oklahoma I'm thinking about that was all over TV. There was a lot of people in that were there that died from COVID. It is just sad. These people are like, they're in this giant pool and they're like, yeah, F COVID, and they got it and they died from
Well,
it.
how many of these blooming like pastors who's keeping their churches open are still blooming have got it? You know, there's been a few stories of that, isn't there?
Oh, quite. I died from it as well. Quite.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for Greg Loeb to get COVID.
You know, part of me thinks that he's a total grifter. He like goes home, smokes pot, and like reads the Quran or something. I think he's a total grifter. I don't think he is what he says he is, you know.
I generally look at his Twitter, I think it's more like the gospel of Donald Trump that he's spreading rather than the gospels of Jesus, you know.
That's what I'm saying. These guys these people
he is a grifter.
Absolutely.
I would be amazed if Greg Locke's ever read the Bible.
You brought up such a good point. As an atheist, I always ask somebody if they want to debate me. I ask them one simple question: have you read the Bible?
Admittedly, now my knowledge of it compared to like is very, you know, is very small. I forced myself to read it through about like 15 years ago, and I was like, I swore I wasn't going to read it. It was time reading it again. But I kind of have like mental respect to people in the community who read actual atheists who can sit there, read it, and study it. You know,
I really didn't get back into it until Junk Shop started reading the Bible.
Same.
I did not. And I'll sit there and I'm like, how is it that I'm actually paying attention to somebody reading it when I read it myself? Like my eyes would glaze over, you know? Oh, it makes me laugh. But it's one of those things. It's just one of those things where I tell people, like, you have to have read the book in order to debate me about it. And I still probably won't debate you about it. Because I don't know. I just don't adhere to doctrine like that. I want to be proven wrong. I
think what I need to get like Skeptics annotated Bible or something like that.
Who was it? Was it Thomas Jefferson? No, I'm misquoting Hitchens now. It was somebody took.
It was the Jefferson Bible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Jefferson.
It was like this thin.
Yeah.
That reminds me. Do you know how many versions of the Bible I have? I have the Jerusalem Bible, the New American Bible, the Living Bible, today's English Version Bible, the Roman Bible, the James Moffat Bible, which the Mormons used up until I want to say 15, 20 years ago. I have the Holy Scriptures I have the Book of Mormon, the Bible in Spanish.
KJV.
My old pastor used to say, if it ain't King James, it ain't Bible.
Well, what about the Jerusalem Bible? Oh, it's upside down.
Ah.
Oh, there it goes.
Yeah, I'm sure you got a lot of these idiots actually. I actually think Jesus spoke this shit in English as well. So, you know.
When I hear people say that, and they're like, "Well, if English is good enough for Jesus," when people legitimately say that, it makes me laugh. When they actually believe that.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna head off.
Okay. I just got back.
Thanks for having me, and I'll see you soon, guys.
Well, thanks for coming in. You know, you're always welcome dropping.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Okay, bye for now.
It's good talking to you.
See you later.
Likewise.
So I'm sure I missed a couple of topics there that probably should have been mentioned in the description.
We were just going off. I was just going off on all the different versions of the Bible I have. Like like this Jerusalem Bible I got in Jerusalem, and like they say it comes from a special tree or whatever, but it's just a rewritten Bible. It's literally just a rewritten Bible. Growing up Catholic, to me, the King James Bible is weird because I grew up on the New American version, on the New American Bible, and I didn't even know it's that I had read the King James, and the New American Bible reads like the King James, but it has all the books in it.
Yeah, that was the version I originally read.
Mm-hmm. Was the NAB.
Yep.
And so
it's not right.
It makes me laugh when people are constantly quoting the King James Bible, and it's like not everybody grew up on that.
Well, and that was part of my problem with religion, that when I was actually trying to study the Bible, I was living in a heavily Jewish neighborhood. So 4 out of 5 people I tried to discuss it with had read it in Hebrew.
Yeah, exactly. And that's another thing. Like, I have the Holy Scriptures that it's in English and Hebrew. And it's kind of a different story.
Yeah.
Depending on which book you read.
That's part of why it became very difficult for me to take it seriously, because they were pointing out all the translation errors.
Or
oh,
go ahead.
Oh, so I'm sure Jen will probably know this better than I will, but I'm trying to remember which race it was in Babylon 5 where their holy books all had to be copied by hand, including all the imperfections. Like, I think it was the Narns.
Yeah, the Narns.
Yeah,
because they left Garibaldi. They left Garibaldi's coffee.
Garibaldi accidentally spilled some coffee on the book that Jakar was written. So every copy of this that was written they had to reproduce the coffee stain exactly.
I missed that show. I absolutely missed that show. They took it off the internet. I used to watch it on bootleg sites. I miss Babylon 5.
I never saw that one.
That was a good show. I mean, it's a little dated now if you look at it, but I mean, like the CGI for the time was pretty groundbreaking for a TV show.
I loved it. I absolutely love it because of moments like that. I still quote there's your side, my side, and then the truth. I still quote Babylon 5.
That's such an awesome show. It is criminally underrated.
I think though, a lot of just in general, the 90s was over. Every channel.
And you saw that a few weeks ago. Mira Furlan died as well, didn't she? I mean, how many people from Babylon 5 have died?
You know what it made me? It's really funny you say that. I genuinely got sad when I heard when I heard she died. I was like, wow. I was like, genuinely. Yeah. It actually makes me kind of sad. And you know what?
There's about 7 or 8 of like the major cast that have died now. Since then. It's...
You know what? I want to say something. Recently, Dustin Diamond passed. Screech. From Saved by the Bell. And you know what? Regardless of his life choices, regardless of who we think he was, like somebody passed and somebody, so I give respect to Screech. I don't believe in much, but I give respect.
I'm not necessarily a fan of him himself, but I'm not going to join on that. I'm not going to join on some people on Twitter who've been total dicks about it. So
that's my thing. Like I'm one of those people that's always like, oh, celebrate the now, celebrate. There was a lot of things that I
was at the age of Saved by the Bell, and like when I was a kid, I never particularly liked it even then. But I think what you've got to remember is that people are more mourning a memory from their childhood, probably more than they are him in a lot of ways.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not gonna badmouth. I feel bad for his family because regardless, like they lost somebody, and he's young. He was 44 years old.
He was only diagnosed with cancer like a few weeks ago as well, wasn't he? It was like
That means he had something way more serious than even the doctors knew.
Mm.
It's just I've just learned I don't, when people pass, I just stop bad mouthing them. It's like, okay, their time is done. Like,
I'm sorry, I did have to have my little indulgence and celebrate when Margaret Thatcher died, but that's about it. But
that's the thing. I didn't have a personal problem with Screech.
Yeah, there are some people I would make exceptions for, but that pretty much would only be like in the category of the hate preachers.
I think it won't. Hopefully, it won't be. I shouldn't really even say it like this, but because hopefully it won't be too long before Pat Robertson. I will not shit. I will.
Those guys live forever off of the atheistic medicine they swear against.
Fear and all that.
Yep.
Kind of like, how much longer can he keep going? I'm sorry if I.
Well, that's the thing. They preach against the socialism because they don't need it. They can get the best medical coverage available, and if they can't get it here, they'll fly to another country for it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The problem is they refuse to act like they're a part of us. So they're so separated because they're rich, because they're money, but then they're trying to say, "Oh, my church needs your money." It's all a grift. That's been my whole thing about church in general. It's a grift. Even when I was a kid, I used to think this is not God's money. This is the church. The church is going to go build another building with this money.
I was going to say, I just saw what all have put in the chat. Yeah, Section 28. I remember that law, homophobic law that Thatcher introduced.
I had heard about that, but I never quite understood what it was about.
What did it do?
I mean, I think one of the main things was it banned teaching in schools of that anyone could be so we had a whole generation of people who perhaps could have been better educated about LGBT issues than they were, we could have been in a much better place than we are now, I think, with it.
I'm seeing the effects of that in this country, of the miseducation and just how the evangelicals have taken over certain generations. And there are people who they come to the West Coast and they can't conduct a normal life because they're so evangelical Christian.
Yeah.
It's the generation of I think brainwashing is impossible, but I call people brainwashed all the time because I guess we indoctrinate ourselves.
Well, and that's the thing. I wouldn't say it's impossible because, some people are, I can't find the right word, but, it's more likely to work on some people just because if you pitch it as stuff that they already want to believe.
That's true.
All are expanded a bit on what I said there in the chat as well. It was a horrible piece of legislation, Section 28. I'm a little annoyed that it took the Labour government like 6 or 7 years to actually repeal it.
And that goes back to what I said before anyone joined. I don't get it how other people think they have the right over other people's bodies. Maybe that's just me constantly standing up for the self Bill of Rights. But you have the right.
This is the thing but this leads back to what we were saying earlier. This is what the thing now is. They throw those "my body, my choice" arguments back over masks and shit, or mass gatherings now. And they're saying it's like they don't see the think. Yeah, this is a different thing when that shit could actually affect us, other people. Whereas like two guys having a sexual relationship affects them alone is none of your fucking business. They don't, you know.
Yeah, and that's the thing that's really gotten me that with this whole thing. Oh, I got a call again.
Oh, I'm trying to encourage my son to go stand outside and get some sunshine. Are you still there, Jeff?
Yeah, I'm still there. So I am outside having a smoke at the moment. So I don't know how good my signal is.
Hey, dude, it's a beautiful day. The rest of the country's in snow right now.
Mm.
I'm telling my son that I try to promote the sun to my child.
Rain here most of the day, so
I try to get him out to be active because he's a PlayStation kind of guy. But he recently got suspended from his PlayStation.
oh dear.
Well, in life there's consequences, and if you say crazy things, then you know they might respond to you.
Certain privileges get.
Oh yeah, and PlayStation is not joking. They are not joking around. They're not. I laughed so hard. I got the email that said that your PlayStation account is frozen, and I laughed. It became one of those funny things. So that's a lesson for everybody out there. If you spout crazy things on your PlayStation, you there, Perps?
Yeah.
My son got suspended for 9 days on his PlayStation account.
Oh. What was he saying on there?
You know what? He has this game called Dreams, and you could make your own game. It's like a simulator where you can make almost anything. And he was making like a podcast kind of, and he was saying some pretty racy things, and they took down one of his games. And then he went on there and said, F the creators of this game.
Uh-huh.
And so they suspended his account for 9 days.
Oof.
How's it going, Sam?
It's going pretty good.
Nice.
Meant to come in here a while ago, but been distracted.
Hi, Sam.
Hello there.
So my son is learning that you can't say crazy things on your PlayStation because they are listening. And he learned I was shocked. I got the email and I kind of laughed, but you know, hard lessons in life.
Yeah, just like, why did you get suspended from PlayStation for more than a week? I told the creators to go fuck themselves.
Quite literally what, you know, and it makes me laugh because I was standing there and they sent me an email and they're like, because my son has autism, so he's 10 times smarter than everybody else. and so once they he created his own game and it was amazing. It was detailed and I was like, wow, like you programmed your own game, but they deemed it inappropriate and he lost it. And he was like, he went on his podcast thing and was like, F the creators of Dreams and F these guys. You guys are rats. And they suspended his account.
But what was so inappropriate about it?
He made something that wasn't age appropriate. And they took it right down. But you know, I'm one of those people, like, instead of being mad about it, I was like, wow, you did something I couldn't do. Like, he created his own game. I couldn't do that. You know, he literally programmed his own game. And so, you know, I'm more on the side of, wow, that's amazing, and less of like, oh, let me correct you. I believe in creativity. I believe that people should be free to express themselves, you know? And this is a good teacher of limitations.
Yeah, it's like in society, there are things that people will give you shit if you do.
No matter what your cause is, I've learned it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And I still work on that every day. Because
very much.
I say some heartless things sometimes that because of damage that's happened in my life, I say things very abruptly sometimes, and not everybody.
I think we
I
can
can
all
be-
be a bit like that.
I can be a complete arse, but if you say it nicely to them, they don't give a shit.
Yeah, exactly. I learned that a lot because I have a breaking point. If you push me, I will snap.
We've got an amazing talent in this country, and that's managing to be really rude yet so polite at the same time.
It's something that I hear often attributed to Texans, and it's like, I don't see them doing it as well as we do, though. But because they assume they're better at it than us, I can get away with saying to any Texan who's irritating me, "Oh, bless your heart," and they won't think anything of it. They'll think I'm just being a dumb tourist.
See, when someone said that to me, I'm like, "Ooh, that's condescending."
Yeah, I've always felt that the British have a wonderful skill for that, and just that the inflection can do so much. That good day to you, sir, can mean anything from nice weather we're having to go fuck yourself.
Exactly, or get the hell out of here. Good day, sir. So true, Perps. So true.
Oh, yeah. I think the thing as well is that I've noticed that so many of my American friends so often don't get the deadpan humor. Like you guys seem to quite well, but a lot of my American friends don't.
It depends on the crowd and the era they're from.
Yeah, I grew up on a lot of BBC sitcoms, so.
Me too. Good old public television, man.
Yeah.
They showed Doctor Who, Downtown Abbey, Mystery Theater, all kinds of good stuff.
Good Neighbors was always my favorite.
Oh, what was that show I used to watch? I have the theme song stuck in my head now. Da-na-na-na-na-na. It was like every week it was a different was it called Mysterious Tales?
Tales of the Unexpected.
I loved that damn show. I loved that show.
See, I'm still catching up on a lot of TV because there was like a solid 8 years where I didn't watch any.
I didn't watch television throughout my entire 20s, so you're doing good.
Fair. Because my mum just never bothered with a TV license when we were kids, really.
Oh, that's why you're 10 times smarter than everybody else. Let's be real. That explains a lot.
That explains a lot, actually, Sab. Yeah.
No, because every book, like even in my library here, like half the books I have, I read them cover to cover when I was in my 20s. Now I have to like pick a chair, sit down, turn everything off, get a good cup of coffee next to me.
That makes sense. My problem with finding time to read at the moment is having so many plans with various people for the next few weeks that it's just like, I could just pick up this 800-page book, sit there until I get disrupted for food and not contact anybody, but people are going to freak out.
Uh-huh.
When my son was... Oh, go ahead, Perps.
No, I was just saying, I've done things like that too.
When my son was younger, when he would watch the Cartoon Network excessively, I could sit in the same room and read a book. So I could tune out the TV and let him play his Legos and stuff, and I would sit there, and I read so many books when he was younger. But now he watches like MTV, and I can't sit in the same room.
See, my favorite period of time in my life in terms of capacity to read was when my baby sister was born, because my baby sister would just fall asleep on me. And so no one was allowed to disrupt me. So I could get well over 100 pages a day read, just sat there holding my baby sister.
Yeah, well, and kids love, just for people to read to them, even if they don't understand what it is. When I was raising toddlers, I would sit there and I would read my computer magazines out loud, and they would sit there fascinated. And people wouldn't even believe that a toddler would have that kind of attention span. But as long as you're reading it to them, they'll just sit there and listen.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. if you talk to toddlers in an interesting manner, if you can be expressive with it.
I watch a lot of old MAGA movies. That's US MAGA, the anime. And most of those movies are in Japanese. And so, like, my son's learned, like, you have to read the subtitles while you're watching the movie. And it's actually improved his reading.
I definitely find if I'm going to watch a foreign language film, I'm going to have the subtitles on. I can't deal with like audio dubbing at all.
No, that's the thing. I have to have subtitles on. I would rather hear them in their native language than hear some person who is not them.
The only exception I will make for the no dubbing rule would be what's it called now? Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Okay, I agree with you because, like, I have Akira on VHS, and they changed the voices for the for the release of the DVD that was out like in the late 90s, early 2000s, and it's a different movie. But the VHS reminds me of the original voices I heard in the 80s. So even though that's dubbed over, I can't watch it in any other form except for the dubbed over voices, because those are the people.
I can certainly understand.
Akira. That was a weird movie.
Oh, Akira is deep. Akira is so deep. It's such a hardcore, because it's basically that it shows that you're trying to manufacture God. And they just kept on getting higher and higher and bigger, and then they hit it, and then there was a nuke, and people survived. Akira is awesome. Fist of the North Star, all those. I have the Crystal Triangle in my VHS over here right now. I love those old movies. Dark City.
And I understand, what people say about not wanting to watch the stuff dubbed. Unfortunately, with my dyslexia, I can't to be able to read the subtitles. I have to be so focused on the text that I'm missing the action.
Yeah, and you have to in certain situations. I mean, and sometimes it can be really frustrating that stuff can sometimes subtitles can go across the screen so fast that it's
for me.
You do not get a chance to read it.
I speak Spanish, and so when I hear I can't listen to Spanish subtitles because they get it wrong. And so I'm listening to the person speaking Spanish, and I'm reading the English translation, and I'm translating it because I'm like, they didn't say that. That's not what they said. That wasn't their inflection. So I can't watch anything, and I have to take the subtitles off if it's in Spanish.
This is fair. See, learning to watch something with subtitles was a very much a skill that I got to 14 years old and couldn't do it. And then I was like, am I suddenly dyslexic or something? I cannot read these subtitles. But then I kind of got the hang of it.
My attention span has changed since I was a kid. So, we all evolve or devolve depending on who the person is.
Yeah, sometimes these subtitles can be very funny.
Yeah.
It's just, it makes me
I think YouTube subtitles on live streams can be the most hilarious.
Oh, I would not want to see that.
The most hilarious thing is when Taddy Boggle is on the shills.
Yeah.
And the subtitles are trying to make sense of his accent.
Oh, that's awesome.
Well, I jumped on there. I jumped on there the other night. What were you there actually, Perp? And we were going through Orphan Red stuff. And I was watching. And I was weird. So I was watching it on the screen, like the subtitles of what we were all saying. It's like that's not, and you just see that's not what was just said.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I'm scared of what the subtitles would try and do if they were trying to translate a conversation between me and Noodle, if it was just us two left to rant, because we go northern.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That would be interesting.
And it does take something with some people. You have to, develop an ear for their accent. There's actually one of the guys who started the Transformers fan group with me is one of those that, nobody can really understand him. And it's like, you basically have to sit with him and talk with him for a couple of weeks before you can start understanding what he's saying. And it's not really an accent or anything. It's just his particular way of enunciating things.
Fair. Oh, Newcastle accents are something that in high school I frequently had to translate for people. Because a lot of my high school was sheltered kids who'd never left their town.
How's it going?
Yeah, why are you man late? Sorry, had to.
Oh, God.
Okay, and if so, I mean, we're not going to be here for like a long time, and we could always move it. So.
I recall when a time promised was a time honored. You lackeys have to get on your job.
Don't worry, let me open it up for you.
Do you reckon that Will realizes he's forgotten to
Mute himself.
No, I should probably mute him. Yeah. We'll see when he sits down again.
Try muting him, not me this
muting
time.
him, not Jeff?
Oh, he's back now anyway.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, it's that prefix, and it's like, when I'm typing in the side chat and it tries to autocomplete. Yeah, but when you've got 5 people in the channel whose name starts with godless.
Oops. The stucco people are here. For everybody who wanted, a conclusion and closure. I've been saying it for an hour.
I missed all of that because there was a human who needed attention.
Totally understand. Sometimes I'm that human that needs attention, so I totally get it. I've actually I've had a rough couple of days, and it's mainly been because of the lack of sleep.
Fair. For this person, it was most definitely not lack of sleep, though they probably do need more sleep. They needed attention because some drops a bitch.
Totally understand. Give me one quick second. I'm going to say hi.
Yeah, well, that's what those phone calls I was stepping out were, that I need a bit of professional help at this point. But unfortunately, my criteria of someone my insurance will cover and whose office is less than 75 miles from me and does not have a blatant religious affiliation had pretty much knocked down everyone that they had given me. So I really didn't feel comfortable going to Lutheran services for therapy.
Gee, I wonder why.
Yeah. So it sounds like I may have finally found somebody. But of course, this will be a matter of making sure that the insurance is going to cover that.
Fair.
Yeah.
Insurance is... Health insurance in the US is fucked up.
Yeah, well, and especially when it comes to mental health, because even a lot of the insurance policies that will cover, going to a regular physician often will not cover mental health at all. They just don't consider it to be a real thing for the most part.
I mean, our mental health care is pretty messed up in its own right, but America is really bad.
So
it's just healthcare in general, though. There.
So, like, saying "Are the straights okay?" went from a joke to being like, "Oh, we need massive healthcare in America." I'm not kidding you. Every other person I talk to needs some sort of mental health care, or just someone to talk to. Really,
this is why I could never move to America, because
every fucking adult.
Oh, go on, Dan.
Every fucking adult and most kids on this planet need therapy. Like, unironically.
No, I agree with you. I agree. I think every kid should get an IEP, which is an individualized plan. I think every adult should at least, see a psychiatrist or just say, hey, what's going on? Someone who could listen to them, and the world would be a better freaking
place. Once they're mentally stable and like not depressed or anything, then it would just be a bit of a checking in with the therapist from time to time.
Exactly.
But with the current state of the planet, I think there are very few of those people.
And you know what? With the lockdown and everything, it grabs me. I get depressed. I'm not different than anybody.
I'm almost at the point where I think that there should be like a basic level of therapy taught in schools. I'm almost at that point with it.
I agree with you. Or have a therapist.
Assessment.
A therapist at every school.
Yeah, obviously a lot of people are having more trouble with it with lockdown. For me, I've been like in and out of therapy since I was 14 and spent most of that time because they couldn't diagnose me. So it's like I say, in and out since I was 14. It wasn't until I was like 32 that they got the Tourette's figured out. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until I was in my early 40s before they figured out the autism. And the autism basically was self-diagnosed because I had finally learned enough about it to take an online test and bring that to the therapist and said, what do you think of this? And he says, oh, yeah, we should have seen that.
You know what?
See, I've taken a couple of different tests on that, but they've come back with very differing sort of results. I mean, if I am on the spectrum, it's sort of just sort of thing. But
you know what? I think my father had autism, and he was a Vietnam veteran who worked for NASA. He was like a savant genius, but he wouldn't talk to you unless you knew what you were talking about. So if he felt that you didn't know about a certain subject, he wouldn't even talk to you about it.
Yeah, it's another thing I have an issue with my family about, because I'm pretty sure that my father was on the spectrum and just, he was a World War II vet. So at that time, it's like nobody really knew anything about it.
Yeah, and they just kind of lived their lives.
He really didn't have any friends. The only people he ever socialized with were guys he had been in the army with or members of his union.
You know what's really funny? My dad was the exact same way. He'd only hang out with my mom or people who had been to Vietnam.
Yeah. So basically, it was only people that he had been forced to associate with in some professional capacity were the only people he had ever made any kind of connection with.
Wow.
Yeah. Whereas I'm a little different because I'll kind of go out of my way not to socialize with my work colleagues. So, well, to be honest, it's not so much that. I used to go on like out on like with a couple of work colleagues and like on some works things, and he just ended up talking shop all the time, and it was like, I just fuck this, no.
I know what you're saying. I know exactly what you're saying.
But see, that's part of the thing with autistic people, though, is that it's more comfortable if you know there's one topic you can talk about.
Yeah. I think I would not go out of my way to socialize with anyone who I've ever worked with except my dad.
That I totally understand that one. You remind me, Sam. You remind me of me and my dad, because my dad and I started a business. So every time I hear you say that, it totally reminds me of my father. But my dad, like he was my friend. Like in the end, he became my friend. That's why I think he had ASD.
Fair. I mean, my dad is very much like that. It's like, you're going to do your own shit. You're 18. I can't stop you. May as well be friendly about it.
Yeah, I'm the youngest of 9, and there's only one of my siblings that I've ever been able to work with.
Yeah. Well, I always find like that. I mean, I think one of the weirdest kind of things is the fact that you look at our own community, is that we're able to get technically go online like we are now, and technically theoretically in front of the whole world and talk, yet probably off the internet, a lot of us are introverts.
I'm introverted as fuck.
Really weird. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm sitting here playing Mario and listening to Mozart and tuning the world out because I could care less half the time.
Well, that's part of why I don't like to be on camera is because when I do socialize with people, people constantly misread my body language and facial expressions. So a lot of times people think I'm implying something that never occurred to me.
Honestly, I relate to that.
I grew up Hispanic, so any facial expression, like, well, I'm half black and half Mexican, but my mom is Mexican, and like any facial expression, anything, she'll read it. She clocks it. She thinks she's a psychic. So I always had to pay attention to what I was saying and how I said it, because she will still to this day still will react on it, depending on
all of my friends who pride themselves on being able to read people have just had to learn that they're never going to understand me.
Yeah, and my 12-year relationship went rapidly down the tubes when she started getting these books about body language and listening to the experts about how to tell if somebody's lying to you. Because after 12 years, she still didn't get that my body language wasn't normal.
You can't do that's a really terrible approach. No two human beings are the same. We may do things in patterns, but no.
Yeah, well, there was a thing that was just going around on Twitter last night, that somebody was saying about, the old thing that if somebody looks away, it means they're lying. And somebody was pointing out that, there's a lot of people that for various reasons, either having been in abusive relationships or being autistic or whatever, that eye contact does not come normally to them.
Absolutely.
Eye contact does not come normally to me at all.
No, I actually, one of my mum's friends who has autism asked her when I was like 6 if I have autism, because I followed a lot of the same patterns she always had done, including the eye contact thing. And that was our first hint that I had autism, but I didn't get diagnosed till I was like 17, because I went to the doctors and they said, "Oh no, this one's completely neurotypical." And it's like, how did you have a conversation with me?
Here, there's a whole assessment process now where, and honestly, around here, if you say you have autism, people will work with you. But
and with my fiance, I remember that, it was just a couple of months after I moved in with her, that she really got it, because I don't remember what we were talking about or that, but, she just looked at me and she says, "Yeah, your body language says you're lying, but you've absolutely no reason to lie about this."
And that's another thing. Like, what about people that are nervous all the time? It's not that they're lying; they're just nervous. I
have an anxiety disorder, and I've had to explain to cops before that no, I'm not lying to them. I do not have a lighter on my person. I just have anxiety.
You know what, Sam? I've had to say the same thing. I cursed out a cop one time. And I was like, "You're giving me anxiety." And he was like, "You don't have anxiety." I was like, "Just write the effing ticket. I don't need your psychological assessment. Just write." And I told him in plain old English, "Write the effing ticket."
Yeah. This is why things like polygraphs and that are not admissible, because we know.
Because they don't work.
And also, it goes like by blood pressure and stuff like that. What if you just smoked a cigarette and your blood pressure is through the roof? Yeah. I agree, nerdy. I only, now that I'm trying to think about it. Who really looks who in the eye? Like, I do, I guess, when I'm talking to people, but it's more of a glance, and then you just kind of, I
have learned to stare at people's noses when I'm talking to them.
This great thing about having avatars on right now is that we could have a staring contest for hours and nobody knows.
No, I'm trying to think legitimately in my day, do I look people in the eye? And I talk to people all day long. Sometimes, I guess. It's one of those things.
Yeah, well, I guess for me, eye contact really pretty much only happens with somebody that I've got really a pretty tight emotional bond with that, you know, it's like one stage down from making out.
Yeah.
That's about the only time that I can think of that I'd really have any extended eye contact with somebody is if I'm just like, you know, sitting there and so enamored that I'm studying their face.
Honestly, that's one of 2 times that occurs to me. The other time being if someone's upset and I'm reassuring them. There are some friends with whom I'll just be like, no, look me in the eyes. It's okay. Calm the fuck down.
I do that too, though. If I want to re-emphasize something, I'll tell someone, hey, look me in the eye, you know? But it just depends.
Yeah. Also, looking people in the eyes via masking is fucking exhausting. Especially because so many people's eyes have kind of patterns in them that I'll just get distracted if I'm not really focusing.
You know, I still smile at people under my mask. I am still not used to a mask. Someone will look at me and I'll smile and I'm like, oh crap. They cannot see my smile. Yeah.
Same. And I'll just be like, I hope that didn't come off as creepy. I was smiling at them.
I actually find I'm smiling more under the mask because it was actually before I understood what the Tourette's was. In high school, I had a very bad facial tic that took me years to train. So for the most part, you know, in the process of that, pretty much suppressed having normal facial expressions.
That makes sense. I have lots of facial expressions, but they're so abnormal, most people can't understand them. And even like to this day, my absolute closest friend will occasionally check in that I'm not cross at them.
I get that. I get that a lot. It's because, you know, also I have evil eyebrows. I have giant, thick eyebrows that make me look like a Bond villain. Or I'm gonna crash a starship or something. And so if I'm not smiling, people are like, "Are we okay? Did I say something wrong?" I get that a lot, and it's like, no, it's just my resting bitch face. Sorry, like
I have the same. I have the same problem where I have really fucking bushy eyebrows. And you can't. I don't think you can tell massively on camera, but I do.
Well, and that's the thing. When you have giant features like that, it sticks out. You know, and when you're not smiling, you look, you know, you look like a Bond villain.
I mean, I have bizarre. I have bizarre eyebrows apparently, but also my nose is a bit bigger than normal, and one of my ears is pointed. And my ears stick out quite a bit.
You know what? We all have weird body features. I have a flat and a hooked. I have a flat nose and a hooked nose.
Yeah. So, or the saying, instead of looking people in the eyes, look at the bridge of their nose.
Yeah.
Because one thing I have a bit of a thing is like just my face, you know, my sort of natural way my face rests or whatever is people just think I'm miserable all the time, and it's like, to be fair, 90% of the time they're probably right, but I really get that hate. These people just will randomly come up to you and say, "Hey, smile" or whatever, and like,
see, I have
really. See, I always used it for that Bill Hicks line on them whenever they come up and say, "Hey, you know, it takes more muscles to smile than it does to frown." I says, "Took you more fucking effort to come up and point that out to me than it did to leave you the fuck alone." You know?
Yeah.
At this point, I'm the friend who will dress a little bit more masculine and then go up to the guys and aggressively tell them to smile.
Oh.
Yeah, people are often just put off by me because they can't get a read. You know, just my facial expression doesn't change when I'm reacting to things. On the other hand, it makes me quite good at poker because people can't really tell when I'm bluffing.
Oh, you would make a killing around here because everyone's emotional.
Yeah.
You would make a killing around here.
See,
most of the people who have played poker with me wind up getting pissed off.
That's awesome.
Yeah, a lot of my friends are purely and simply friends with me because they couldn't read me the first time they met me, and so they wanted to talk to me more.
Yep.
It's so bizarre. And like I have like a laundry list of mental illnesses I'm almost certain I have.
Okay, so and this is nothing but
also Robert X in the chat. You putting godless before my name is so fucking funny because I'm like the opposite. I had my atheist card confiscated for believing in too many damn gods.
Yeah.
You're yeah, you've got us well covered on the gods front here.
Well, one of them I did last week. I went and changed everybody's name to something Jen, and frustrated atheists didn't even notice I had done it for like 20 minutes.
We did have the godless stream, didn't we? Where it was
it was Dave, just you, me, Granny, right. And so it was like we just changed everyone's.
That's right. That was awesome. That was awesome. I forgot about that.
Although the funny thing about that was that I had forgotten I had done that. So then when I went into the stream for the Nachos after party, my name still said Jen.
You know, Stool does that. He'll change my name and then I'll forget until I'm signing into something and I'm like, oh, damn it.
Yeah.
Stool
that's until I got back into StreamYards. And, you know, and I didn't realize that they were even talking to me when people kept saying Jen. It took me a few minutes to realize it was still on there.
Oh, that's awesome.
You know, because it was a room full of people who didn't know me, so.
Oh, that's great. Like,
okay, I think I kind of need to wrap this up here.
Yeah, because I gotta take notes before Granny's stream.
Yeah, that's the same thing. I kind of need some time to decompress before I get on with Granny.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, what's happening with Granny?
Oh, she's just running a stream tonight on Is the Bible a Book of Confusion? So, yeah, that's our first plug. Does anyone have other things that they want to plug? Upcoming appearances?
Go ahead.
In theory, I should have been releasing a video today, but the last few days I've fallen down a bit of a rabbit hole writing up an essay. So I'll be releasing it when I get done with that. So I skipped last month's video, so we're going to do 2 this month, and then like once we've figured shit out in terms of timing and having recorded them, me, Will, and our friend Maddie are going to be starting doing a podcast.
Absolutely, I'm excited.
Who's Maddie?
It is one of my heretical Christian friends.
Oh, okay.
It's
so
not.
It's somebody who's generally known by the group.
No. And Sam, that's so no. It's not the Maddie that we're all thinking of.
Okay.
No, it's
well,
definitely
actually,
not.
I know more than one on the online community, so
well, that would be interesting with the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah, I know who you mean when you say it that way.
If we stick with our working title for it, the working title is some sort of joke, but we'll see if we change that.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we'll watch for that. What about you, Jeff? Whose show you can be on?
Well, tomorrow on my channel, I think I mentioned this earlier, but it'd be about somewhere between 3:30 and 4 p.m. UK time. So I'm going to be running a stream on my channel where we're going to be going through the Transforms wife's Twitter. Granny wants to come on. Sam, I think, may possibly be jumping onto that, he was saying, but
Oh, you're doing
If
that in
I-
the evening. I thought that was in the morning you were
awake.
doing.
oh no, but it'd be afternoon our time, so it'd be like morning for you guys. But
Provided I'm awake, I'll be.
Well, wait, no.
Yeah.
But no, if it's in the afternoon for you, it's going to be toward the evening for us.
no, you're behind us.
You're behind us, Perp.
What time have you got there now?
It is
20 to 9 in the evening.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. So you're saying like 4? Yeah, okay.
you're not getting
Yeah,
us mixed up with the Aussies
Yeah,
again, are
I'm
you?
getting confused there.
I'm
Yeah,
just
well, when I saw you put it on Twitter, I was thinking that was probably starting before I would be getting up because I tend to work nights. So okay,
No, so that'd be be about 3:30, 4 p.m.
Yeah.
UK time tomorrow. Then on Sunday I do my regular asterisk stream with Noodle. That'd be on my channel this week. So then probably Media Musings on Ring's channel just after that. So that's the only things I've got like actually planned at the moment. So but you never know. Some of these times you never know where I'm going to pop up. So
Yep.
Love it.
You going to be doing any Dave's critical questions?
yeah, it depends on when Dave's doing his critical questions at the moment. So
Okay, he hasn't given you a new schedule yet.
I don't know what he's doing at the moment. He's not. I don't know what he hasn't been scheduling anything as far as I know.
I think is he taking a break?
I don't know. You have to ask him.
Yeah.
Okay, how about you, Will? Or you and Jen going to be doing the What the Fuck show this week?
Yeah. So like Sam said, we got the podcast coming up. Granny's tonight at 5 West Coast time, which completely just screwed everybody up. And
That's 7 o'clock real time for the rest of you.
That'd be about like 2 a.m. for us or something like
Yeah,
that.
that is 2 a.m. normal people time.
So then tomorrow night, Jen and I are doing the What the Fuck show at 10 o'clock Eastern, which is 7 o'clock Western, and it will be about gun control. Purple, you are completely invited to come on because we need more American from the American perspective. Kitty's going to be on there. She has a license, so she's coming from the perspective of somebody who carries with a license. And I'm like the semi in between lefty who doesn't feel a need for guns. So it's gonna be an awesome conversation.
Yeah, I generally don't see why anyone needs one, but I think we need to start out with telling people we're not talking about hunting rifles when we open the discussion.
Absolutely. Like I said, you are fully invited. And that's a good point because I've already got some flack from people who are like, oh, but I need this or that. And it's like,
yeah,
I'm not talking about your stupid, your single shot rifle.
Yeah, we're not talking about like that handgun you keep by your bed just in case.
Okay, so you were saying that's 10 Eastern?
Yes, that's 10 Eastern tomorrow.
Okay, so that'd be 9 o'clock my time.
Yeah, and I think that's it for now, but I always forget something. There's always something on the horizon. So yeah, What the Fuck show, Granny tonight, nothing but good things.
Yeah, so yeah, what's with Granny in about 4 hours?
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course I'll be here, tomorrow at midnight again.
Awesome.
Okay, so thanks everybody for coming, and thank you everybody in the side chat for joining us. Appreciate you, Robert, for putting everybody's links out there. And I would like to thank my Patreon supporters of Greg Hartwick and the Lavender Lady. Excuse me. And Mikey Famine, who basically are paying for the StreamYards this year.
Awesome.
Nice.
So, okay,
Wait.
thanks everybody for coming, and we will see you all later.